All right, guys, here we are with the review. We went over this in class. The answer document should also be here on the classroom, but I'm going to go ahead and go over this one more time with y'all for those of you who want to go through and see another explanation and such. So question one, how many non-collinear points determine a plane? And that's real simple. It's three. Three non-collinear points. They can't be in a straight line because then you have a line, remember, and that could possibly be just one-dimensional. But if they're not in line, then you have to have a plane to cover them all. So again, three. Two, name two different sets of three non-collinear. This is a typo. I mentioned it in class. I obviously should say points. And it's real simple. You name the points from each line. So one of them are points A, E, and B, right there. And then the other group would be points C, E, and D. Let's go right there. And again, pretty simple, pretty straightforward type question. Number three, determine whether each statement is true or false. So a line does not have measurable length. That's true. Lines go on forever. They cannot be measured. A segment instead extends indefinitely. That is false. The segment has actual measurable length. So those two should really be switched. A line extends indefinitely. A segment has measurable length. Oh, if you take out the does not part. A plane has edges. False. Right? Planes also go on forever. There is no real edge to them, even, though they don't exist. A point has no length, width, or height. That is correct. A plane has no dimension, no measurable values of any kind. All right, on to number four. Find the length of PQ. Pretty simple problem here. You have the full segment PR. This is QR at 12.6. So all you're going to do to find PQ is subtract. Again, be very careful in your subtraction. Any of the math you do, really, but on the quiz, there were some mistakes here, like I've mentioned many times in class. So you got to borrow. That becomes 13 because you borrowed a tens unit from there. 13 minus 6 is 7. Sorry for the messy handwriting. This pen doesn't work as well as I thought. But that's a decimal point. 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. And the answer is 11.7 centimeters. All right. 5. Angle ABC measures 145 degrees. If D is the interior of the angle and ABD is 62, what is the measure? So, a little bit to draw here, but once you kind of get it all on here, very simple to solve. All right, so there's a big angle. It doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be drawn to scale, but it helps. And we can put A, B, C, and then somewhere in the interior is a point D. So the whole thing is 145. ABD is 62. They want to know what DBC is. So again, a whole lot of kind of drawing here for a very simple problem. The big thing is 145, the smaller angle is 62. To find the other ones, you simply subtract. So 145 minus 62. 5 minus 2 is 3. Don't even need to borrow. You can borrow here or just treat this as 14. And 14 minus 6 is 8. And 83 degrees is the answer for DBC. All right, on to the second column. Name two pairs of adjacent angles. So adjacent angles, again, are angles that they share the same vertex, they share a line, and they're literally right next to each other. So there's actually several pairs here. I don't know if I'll be able to write these all very well. Let me see how this goes. So we have we'll start with angle USV, and that is vertical with VSW. Okay, and those are the two here, here, and here. But then, if you want to look at another pair, I'll use another color here, we can take this one again and go with that one. So that is VSW and WSR. All right, but then we can also take these two, right? And that is going to be angle WSR and RST. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going around circular and just making all the pairs. You only need two. If you're asked to answer this without multiple choice, I just need two. I don't need four. It's going to be 5 total. But I'm showing you all the possibilities. So this one would become RST and TSU. And last but not least, this angle and this angle, which would be TSU and USV. So any combination of any two of those 5 would work here. Okay? And then there is a typo here on the next question. It should say which angle is vertical with WSU, not VSU. And the reason that's a problem is because you can't have vertical angles if two lines don't cross, and VSU involves VS, which is a ray, it's not a line. So really, if you want to kind of ignore it, we should be focusing on this line here and this line here. So WSU, that got kind of crowded there. WSU is formed right there. And so if you look at it, it's this angle from there to there. Vertical is the one across from it, which would be here. So that would be angle TSR. Or you could call it RST, works the same way. Number 8, the midpoint of XY is Z. If the coordinates of Z are 1, -2, and the coordinates of X are 5, 4, what are the coordinates of Y? So this was not on the quiz, but I did tell you in the practice we did that it would be on the test, and here it is. So it's not find the midpoint, it's I know the midpoint. I know one endpoint. I need to find the other midpoint, the other endpoint, which we'll call X2, Y2. Let me move that over a little bit. And so we're still going to use the midpoint formula, but what we're going to have to do with it is use it to solve for what we're missing here. Okay? So what you want to do is set it up as normal. Parentheses, let me use a black pen. X1 plus X2. 5 of it is X1. You don't know X2. Sorry, it's the pen I'm using for this is not working very well on the screen. Divided by 2, but you don't just stop there. You actually know what the midpoint's supposed to give you, right? This is the midpoint, and you know that. So this is supposed to give you 1. And then when you set up the y's, 4 plus y2 over 2, you know that the y coordinate is -2. So you actually know what they're supposed to give you, so you treat this like an algebra equation. Very simple to solve, 2 steps, right? And the first step is always multiply both sides by 2, because that's going to cancel this out to 1, and then you just have 5 plus x2, 1 times 2 is 2. On this side, same thing, times 2, times 2. That cancels, you get 4 plus y2 equals negative 4, and then minus 5, you're going to get negative 3, minus 4. Be careful here. Negative 4 minus 4 makes a plus a negative. You're going to get negative 8. And that is your answer. Negative 3, negative 8. All right, we keep going. Find the value of x if s is between r and t. Rs is 12, st is 5x, and rt is 57. So pretty simple. You have your segment R T S, and RS is 12, ST is 5x, and RT is 57, the whole thing. So remember, in segment addition, much similar to angle addition, the basic idea starts with the two smaller pieces, RS plus ST, add together to give you the whole thing. So if you write that out first, then you can just plug in RS is 12, ST is 5x, and the whole thing is 57. So then it's just minus 12 here. That cancels. 57 minus 12 is 45. Divide by 5. X equals 9. Did not ask you to plug it back in, so you're done. Easy problem. Number 10 is the same thing with different numbers, so I'll go through this a little more quickly. A, C, B, 5y, 3y, 40. So 5y plus 3y equals 40. 8y equals 40, because you're going to combine them, they're like terms, and y equals 5. All right, so that was page 1. Hope that helped you if you needed it. The next video should be for page 2. Thanks. All right, guys, here we are on page 2. I know it says for exercises 10 through 12, but obviously it should be for 11 through 13. But I think that's pretty obvious to what we're doing. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to write the points on the side so you can reference them. A is at negative 3, 1. B is at positive 4, positive 4. C is at negative 2. I don't know why I can't write 2 as well. Negative 1. And D is at positive 5, 4. So first, question 11 is find the distance between A and D. So distance formula, you'll have the formula on the test itself. Big square root, first parentheses, x2 minus x1. So for this problem, we're looking at point A and point D. So A will be point 1, D is point 2. That means 5 minus negative 3. This thing does not write well. Plus in the middle. Second parentheses, y2 minus y1, 4, actually that's a negative 4. Negative 4 minus 1 squared. Minus a negative becomes plus plus. 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus negative 4 minus 1, that's plus a negative, that's minus 5. 8 squared is 64, negative 5 squared, positive 25. Please make sure you realize that. It does become positive. It adds to 89. Nothing more you can do there. You can't square root it to a whole number, so you leave it as is. Number 12, our favorite problem. We're going to need space, so I'm going to come over here to do number 12. So we have A at -3, 1. We have D at 5, -4. The fraction, mn, is 1/3. So, we have the formula. It's on page 12 of your spiral if you're using it, which you should be. And so basically in a big parentheses, you're going to have x1 plus the fraction. But on that fraction, you're also going to multiply it by absolute value of x2 minus x1. Now, in this review, you guys already actually did x2 minus x1 inside the parentheses of the distance formula in the problem previous. You'll swing back over there, right? So you've already done them. You should know what they should come out to, which, is a little bit of help there. And then the second part of the coordinate is going to be y1 plus the fraction. And in the numerator, you're going to multiply it by y2 minus y1, which again is something you did in the distance formula, so you should know what it comes out to. That's absolute value, -4 minus 1. Okay, so we should know from the previous problem, but either way, this becomes plus plus. You get -3. The 1 times, it doesn't really do anything. If there's a 2 there, if there's a 3 there, then yes, do not forget to multiply. But 1 times this is going to stay that number. So it's absolute value of 8/3. 1 plus. Now, over here, you're going to get absolute value of -4. I'm sorry. -4 minus 1, which we said was -5. Now, also, we talked about that if y1 is bigger than y2, this should become subtraction. But what might be easier to do is leave it like addition, but treat the absolute value bars as just parentheses and leave it negative. Okay, it's gonna do the same thing either way. You're either gonna subtract or you're gonna put a negative, which turns it into subtraction. So now the key here is, how do I do this with the fractions? Okay, remember this is 1/1 or -3/1, 1/1. We're gonna multiply by a fraction of 3/3, and that is going to allow us to get the common denominator of 3 here. So that's just 8. 3/3 times 1/1. We'll leave that as -5. 3 times -3 is -9/3. So you're going to add that to 8/3. And of course, 3/3 times 1/1 is 3/3 plus -5/3. And then -9 times 8, -9 plus 8 is -1/3. 3 plus -5 is -2, and there's your answer. Again, I know it takes a lot of steps. I know it's the problem we hate. It's not that difficult. Work it through. With the answer key, the file, there's also should be a picture of this problem worked out for you as well the same way. All right, I'm going to erase this in a minute when we come back to it, so make sure you look it over before you move on. And voila, like magic it is gone. Where did it go? Where did it come from? Where did it go? I don't know, Cotton Eye Joe. But the answer was -1/3, -2/3. Rewind the video to see that work again. 13, find the coordinates of point M if C is the midpoint of AM. So a slightly different thing here. If we go back up, A and C are the points. So C is the midpoint of a segment that's going to come somewhere obviously out in this area. I mean, that looks like the point right there, just kind of free drawing it, but we got to know for sure. So C is the midpoint here. M is a point that we would draw to be the other end of the segment. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to show you the visual way I'm going to show you, excuse me, I had to edit there, so that's why if it sounded weird. I'm going to show you the visual way to do this problem. So we have A, M is an endpoint that we're looking to find. We have C. And so A was at -3, 1. The midpoint C is at -2, -1, and we are missing M, this endpoint. It's not on the paper. We would have to draw it. So if you have a midpoint, you are the same distance to both sides, right? So that means for the individual coordinates, for instance, -2 should be the same distance to -3 as it is to the x2, whatever it is. Now, how do you get from -2 to -3? Right? Seems pretty simple. You subtract 1. I know it increases, but it's negative, right? So -2 minus 1 is -3. Well, that means that to get to x2, it's the same length of 1, but in the opposite direction, meaning +1. So x2 becomes -2 plus 1, which is -1. Same thing should be true for the y-coordinates. From -1 to the y1, you have to add 2. -1 plus 2 is +1. So in the opposite direction, you would subtract 2, and -1 minus 2 gives you -3. And therefore, your endpoint M should be -1, -3. And, yeah, so that's going to do that thing. I just wanted to come up real quick, and then you'll see right here that if we were to put -1, 3, that is that point right there, and that would be this segment. So again, because I had to go back and edit, now the drawings are not connected. So I might have to erase this before I move on, unless I can lock it together, which I will check real quick. But it does not appear so. Let me see. You probably don't see anything on the screen. I'm checking some stuff, so don't freak out about it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to let me. So I'm going to go ahead and erase it so it doesn't throw off the rest of what we do. But -1, -3, if you need to see it again, just rewind the video. And hopefully it doesn't happen for the rest of our problems. But, you know, I'm not some cool YouTuber with editing software. I'm just using an app they gave us. So, 14, find the distance between the 2 points. For that previous one, I'll leave the answer there. Like that. See what happens next. So -3, 4 will be our x1, y1. 2, -5 is x2, y2. And that's a big square root. So x2 minus x1, 2 minus -3 squared. Plus y2 minus y1, -5 minus 4. Yeah, see, it's going to do that thing. They're all going to be connected now. I'll see what I can do. So that squared, this becomes plus. You're going to get 2 plus 3, which is 5. -5, I don't know why I put a line right there. It's -5 minus 4. And that is going to be plus a negative. So that's -9 squared. 5 squared is 25. -9 is going to be positive 81. That adds up to 106, which we cannot do anything with. They are not, the square root would be a whole number, and would not be a whole number, excuse me, be a decimal, and so we leave it like that for now. All right. Let's see what happens if I move. Yeah, it's going to move the paper. So let me erase those. Well, let me go up to what we need to look at next, because we're almost done, and then I'll erase them as needed. Maybe. No, it won't let me erase anything. Technology. So. There we go. All right, nothing like wasting your time on a video while I take care of technical things. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave me a like, rate me, right? Is that what the YouTubers say? I sound like an old person. All right, let's finish this off. Find the midpoint of 4, -1, and -2, 4. So again, that's x1, that's y1, that's x2, and y2. So big parentheses. This time there's no solving an equation, it's just do the actual formula. x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So 4 plus -2 is +2. -1 plus 4 is +3. So 2 over 2, I'd prefer to leave it either as 1. Let me change that. 2 over 2 is a coarse one, as I was saying. 3 over 2, you can leave it like that, or you can do 1, 1.5. Either way, I will accept as the answer, as long as it's accurate and correct. Last problem, QRS is 95. This is 28. They want to know QRT. Very simple. Subtract. 15 minus 8 is 7. 8 minus 2 is 6. 67 degrees, and we are done. Sorry for the few problems on this page with the going back. I know you only see it once, but I had to do it a couple times, and then I guess the previous work did not connect with the old one, so I had to erase some things. But it's all on there. If you need to see it, go back, and there's also the answer keys. So hope that helped. Good luck on the test tomorrow, and see you later.